Okay, next on the shipping list is Jiro and Kaminary or Jiro and Yaoyorozu. This shouldn't take too long to figure out. Why is this taking so long? Good news, cartoon fanatics of the internet, I'm still technically alive. Continuing on from my last video, I will be debating on which pair works better, Kamajiro or Momojiro, and whether or not it still holds up this far in the story in the new segment I like to call the Ultra Shipping Analysis. With that said, the first pair we'll be discussing is Kamajiro. This pair gets its start from the Battle Trial arc, to which Denki Kaminari and Kyoka Jiro are partnered up on Team G as heroes versus Team C as the villains. Nothing significant stands out here in order to justify the ship, so we move on to the USJ arc where villains attack the students of Class 1A and Denki, Kyoka, and Momo all get warped to the mountain zone. This moment is more serious than a casual one as they're facing villains, but it leads to our first real interaction between these two as Jiro's first impressions of Kaminari seems to be leaning towards someone as being exhausting to work with, as well as being a target for her jokes, which we later see more of during the sports festival and when deciding their hero names. Their interactions at this point are set up to be more comedic than casual ones, whether it's Kaminari and Mineta's flirtatious behavior towards their female students, or Jiro's retaliation towards their perverted or rude comments. Although we see there's more to Jiro's behavior when it comes to being judged on appearances and interests, she becomes more flustered when receiving compliments from others or feels self-conscious about her appearance when left out of Mineta's perverse nature, or when Denki mentions the lack of girly aesthetics in her room as well as her wardrobe. Most of where the ship begins to take off is during the school festival arc where Kaminari compares Jiro's hobbies to that of her hero career. And while embarrassed at first, she's later reassured by Denki that her talent in playing multiple instruments makes her amazing. And this is where I believe the Kaminari and Kyoka relationship shows more potential of actually happening in the show. Throughout the series, Kaminari seems to be going through a mini character arc from being a flirtatious, wannabe cool guy to a more easygoing and capable hero that's more supportive towards others. Jiro is sometimes the person to reel him in whenever he oversteps his boundaries. In fact, I can't recall the last time Kyoko had to jab her earphone jacks into him, and even seems to respect him more ever since he got his hero license. These are two students who seem like they wouldn't normally socialize with each other if not for a school setting pairing them up in exercises or in the same class together. The last bit of fuel for this ship comes from their latest moment during the Paranormal Liberation War, as Denki is placed in the front lines and is fearful of the situation, but is calmed by Midnight telling him to think of someone who matters the most to him. And the first person that comes to mind is none other than the healing hero herself, Kyoka Jiro. With a few words of encouragement from her, Denki steps up to the front and takes on the villain's attack. Considering where these characters started off and their journey in the story, I think it's possible for some kind of connection between these two to develop later on, especially if Jiro is considering getting the band back together in order to raise the spirits of those around them in these troubled times. And there's an interesting parallel between these two and Kyoka's own parents, as we see her mom is more like her daughter in terms of a quiet and albeit shy demeanor, whereas her dad is a boisterous and lively individual similar to Kaminari. Now, moving on to the other side of the spectrum, we have the Momo-Jiro pairing. Considering the previous pair had a rough start in the beginning, many fans believe that the Momo-Jiro ship is the more stable one since they've been supportive of each other since day one. For starters, Jiro certainly gets along with Momo a lot more than she does with other students, whether that's being in a combat situation with each other during the USJ attack, or simply shopping at the mall together. Kyoka does admire a lot about Yaoyorozu and her hero work, as well as her academic skills, and to a lesser known extent, her feminine appearance. She's definitely someone that Jiro can have a casual conversation with, and both characters come from a different upbringing, which has shown to spark an interest in each other's hobbies and lifestyles. This is further expanded upon in Chapter 8 of the My Hero Academia light novel entitled A Learning Experience during the final exam arc. In here, Jiro feels out of place in Momo's home because of her style of wardrobe, but is given reassurance by Yaoyorozu's mother, who also seemed to be interested in Jiro's fashion back in the day and even admired another classmate's similar tomboy style. But while we're still on the subject of the light novels, I feel Chapter 27 entitled Festival for All is a perfect segue into my next point regarding how the story always seems to pair these two up in most scenarios. We've seen them at the USJ, in tutor sessions, at the mall, on I-Island, the provisional license exam, in the culture festival, on stage in the anime, and off stage in the school briefs. It's here in Chapter 27 that we learn that Momo would have loved to see Jiro in the front row, but still enjoyed seeing her in the spotlight on stage from behind. Which you can bet makes Jiro blush at the compliment and does imply Momo has a deeper appreciation towards Jiro. In short, if you ever see or hear either one of them nearby in the story, then the other one is bound to show up. So overall, both pairings have a lot of strong points in support of their respective ships, but if I had to choose which one would fit the most in terms of a one true pair, it would have to be Kaminari and Jiro, as they've both grown to appreciate the other one more throughout the series, but still take a few jabs at the other one all in good fun. Not to mention that while Jiro does tend to make fun of Kaminari's yay face, she actually finds his quirk to be quite powerful and has a humorous side to it. She's even willing to try it out for herself, as evident by School Briefs Chapter 11 AB Slumber Party, where all the girls mention which of the boys' powers they would like to have. And the first one that Kyoka mentions is Kaminari's quirk, which shows that she likes his power and is curious about what he goes through when he shorts out his brain. One last thing I want to mention is why the KJ ship works more than the MJ one. I feel that both Kaminari and Jiro do seem to reciprocate a level of admiration and affection towards the other one, albeit not directly though. Whereas in Momo and Jiro's case, only Jiro seems to have strong admiration towards Momo's feminine qualities, her charm, and charismatic nature to a larger extent than Momo has demonstrated in the story. Don't get me wrong, Momo does appreciate Jiro and values their friendship, but it's similar to the Ochako and Izuku ship where only one character has obvious feelings towards the other one. So given their personalities and interactions, it's possible for the story to combine these two into the power couple that everyone wants them to be. But that's all I got for now, so let me know what you all think about this pairing, or whether or not I missed something in the story that could further support the Momo and Jiro ship. I'm your reanimated cartoon and animation fanatic, Channel Hopper, and hopefully the next review doesn't take an eternity to finish.